What is up, everybody, and welcome back to Shooting the Shit Uncensored. I'm your host, the bald, the beard, the beautiful Piers Austin, and we are brought to you live by Multi-Continental Wrestling Alliance on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. You can find us pretty much any fucking where that you can have social media. I don't have an OnlyFans, sorry to disappoint all those people that have obsessions with balded, bearded dudes that have dad bods. But anyway, I digress, guys. I have a very special show for you tonight. I have a young up-and-coming pro wrestler from Australia. His name is Jack Payne. He is one of the baddest motherfuckers I have seen in the ring. He's a big dude. He is one half of the tag team Back Pain. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into his career, some fun stories. It's going to be a fun show. But before we get into it, I just want to take a quick second, a quick pause for the cause, if you will, to thank some sponsors. First up, pardon me, is A-Rock Designs. A-Rock Designs is that company you are seeing all over the wrestling groups, the wrestling pages, the wrestling Twitters, the wrestling Instagrams, wherever you can see they make custom wrestling cups, hoodies, t-shirts, keychains, tumblers, you name it, they make it. They made me this custom CM Punk tumbler, as you all see every week that I drink out of at my desk. Yet I have not put beer in this cup. I feel like it's a bad thing. Like I don't know, man. It's like bad luck. So I'm not doing it. But anyway, I digress. Next is Signal Studios. Ladies and gentlemen, Signal Studios is a recording studio based here in Sydney, Australia. You know what? If you're an independent wrestler and you watch this show, and I know professional wrestlers are watching this show, and you want to get some new entrance music, something a little bit dope, something fly, something, whatever the kids are saying today. I don't know. I'm old as fuck. I'm not going to try and be cool. But guys, if you want to get something done for music-wise, it's going to help you come out to the ring and bring up your character, hit up Signal Studios. My boy Rafi, he can make, mix, master, produce any kind of track that you want, send it out to you anywhere in the damn world. And if you're a musician and you need a place to record, a place to rehearse, a place to jam, a place to get your creative juices flowing, Signal Studios has the most comfortable recording space you will ever see. Seriously, guys, it is so cool. It's very chilled, some cool lighting just to get your creative juices flowing. But guys, without further ado, I'm going to bring him out. I'm going to quit boring you and giving some shameless plugs to our incredible sponsors. But here he is, the big man himself, Jack Payne. Jack, how you going, big man?
I'm not bad, man. So,
mate, I'm pretty excited, man. You know, Friday night coming up to Christmas, you know, so my home studio here is actually filled with kids' presents and bikes and all that sort of good stuff, man. So how you going, man, coming into the Christmas time, man?
Yeah, not bad, man. Just working at the moment, so getting through that and have some time with the family and have a good time. Yeah, getting Christmas.
That's it, man. It's all about having a good time. We got our chat going off tonight. We have Kyle Eid music in the house. This is going to be good. What's up? What's up, Jack Payne? Kyle, thanks for tuning in. So, Jack, you know, getting straight into it, man. You know, you've been wrestling for a couple of years now. You started off training in AWF in Western Sydney.
Yeah.
You know, what made you decide to get into this crazy world of pro wrestling?
Oh, it's a wild track. So I'm from the country. I'm from a little town called Crookwood. It's near Goulburn, about 2.5 hours away from Sydney. And where I'm from, it's predominantly like a sporting town, but it's really like Australian sports, like obviously like rugby union, rugby league, soccer, cricket, that sort of stuff. So I grew up playing footy, like rugby league, all up to my juniors, and was pretty big into that, and ended up playing a little bit of Raiders under 15s, and ended up hurting myself pretty bad, and gave the footy up, and sort of you got to that age in about year 12 where you sort of decide what you want to do with your life, and that's what everyone's asking you. And I sort of didn't really want a real job, so went back to what I liked as a kid, and that was pro wrestling, and thought I'd give it a crack. And looked it up on the internet, and that's where we went.
Nice, man. Who were some of your biggest influences when you were a kid? You know, like, you know, because you're a big dude, man. Were you always a fan of the big guys, or Who were some of your idols?
So I started. I was about 7 years old, and I started watching. It was about 2005-ish. So it was always Triple H, Batista, Randy Orton, like the big boys, Undertaker, like Kane, like all those boys in that era, like just the big boys, big muscled out monsters, and yeah, destroying everything. And that's what I sort of try to bring to the table.
Yeah, dude, that was like the ruthless aggression era, man. That was pretty cool. And when you said you were 7 years old back then, now I feel really old because I was like 20, I was like 20 something, bro. Shit. But and that was the thing. Like, do you remember the first time you sort of sitting there and finding wrestling and being like, what the hell is this? Like, because it's pretty captivating, especially as a kid.
I just remember just on TV, I think it was like a Christmas special, like a Christmas WWE thing. It just sort of scrolled through the channels and popped up, and it was WrestleMania 21, and they were showing highlights from the whole show. Yeah. And from there, it sort of just, it ended up, I was a SmackDown kid, so I watched it every Friday night after school, and that was it every week till about midway through high school, to be honest.
Yeah, right. And did you have a bit of a break from it when you got to high school?
Yeah, so I sort of got into footy pretty hard then, and it's everything sort of went to the backtrack, school included. But
as it does, bro, as it does for teenage guys, man.
Yeah, and then it sort of just sort of got back into it, and just loving it again, just like living through it, and it's just a lot of fun and loving it, to be honest.
And obviously going and training down with TNT, who's a very well-known, New South Wales, Sydney, old school performer. He's been around for a very long time. How did you find, going through the initial training process with him?
Yeah, man, I didn't really expect it because, like, obviously coming from footy, like when I was doing some like Howard Matt's stuff with the Raiders, it was like full on preseasons and stuff, and I didn't think it could be much harder than that. But sort of going into it, we did week intensive courses, so it was a week at a time.
Yeah.
We did that, and it was like your body, like just hitting the ropes and just taking bumps, and like you just like you can't prepare yourself for it, and it's just a bit sore, man.
Yeah, man, I can imagine. Like I think that a lot of people when they start getting into the business, from what I've heard, is like they I think they have an unrealistic expectation of what it's going to be like, and my friend Angel, as I was telling you before, man, he was telling me when he started, it was like he went in there as a 17-year-old kid and just got, beat down at Gleason's gym, you know what I mean, with like Devon Dudley and Bubba and, guys like that before that. Yeah. And he said, dude, they beat the shit out of me. He was like, I was like, fuck that, I'm not coming back. And he's like, then he saw him on TV, like a little, like, a year later or so, he saw one of them as being a jobber on WWF and was like, fuck it, and went back and continued to, where he was like, well, fuck, maybe the ass kicking's worth it, but, but that's the thing, man. I think that expectation is like some people that don't have the actual respect for it.
Yeah, that's the thing. If like Greg did teach me a lot, and one thing he did teach me about wrestling was to respect wrestling. And that, coming through all the bumps and all the pain, and that, like, you don't really think about going in because obviously you're preconditioned to think that, it's scripted or it's fake or blah, 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 but it's not. Like, it's really not. Like, it's more intense than any footy game I've ever played.
It is, and it's not even that though. Like, you look at guys once they get to the top level and traveling every single week, being home one day a week, and then like what I mean, like, because it's like on the road, like getting the workouts in, getting this, like it.
Just eating right and being in shape and being fit and being healthy, and that's just a tough challenge.
Yeah, oh mate, exactly. And when you started training with Greg, how long was it before then you sort of was like, okay, I've learned as much as I can learn here. Yeah, it's time to go on from there. Had you had matches at that stage?
So it was sort of I think it was about 9 months I trained for, because I was living so far away. I'd go up for a week at a time when I could through work and stuff. So I'd go up, and I eventually, I think it was October 2016, the Halloween show, I had a debut with Donnie Mako. He currently wrestles with PWA. We both debuted against each other, double debut. And then, from there, I wrestled with AWF for a couple of years and sort of moved on from there. And, here we are, PWA.
And did you develop the Jack Payne character back in AWF, or was that something that you,
Yeah, my real name's, like Jack Pane, but whenever I was at high school, whenever a sub teacher came in, they'd read Jack Payne, and I thought, oh, that sounds pretty cool, and yeah, sort of developed it from there, to be honest.
Man, it's a pretty cool name. It's menacing, but what was the whole idea of the character? Like what did you want it to be?
In the beginning, it was sort of just like just a mindless big man, just destroy everything and don't talk much, and just it was sort of that sort of character was sort of what I went for first, because I wasn't really confident talking, doing promos and talking in front of crowds and stuff. So I figured if I did that, I wouldn't have to talk.
Yeah.
Eventually through time, I don't know, it just got easier, and I sort of wanted to develop it. I've mainly played heel most of my career, so I sort of turned it into like a cocky, arrogant big man who's like knows I'm bigger than you and know I can beat the shit out of you if I want to, and that sort of stuff. And that was sort of my character most of the time. Like all up to now.
From seeing you perform in the ring, and I've seen you wrestle, at IWA as well. So I've seen you wrestle as a single and as a tag.
Yeah.
And the style that you wrestle and the look that you wrestle, I get like it. I see this very similarity to Bram from Tom Latimer in NWA now. Is he been a guy that's been an influence on your career at all? Yeah,
man. I'm just sort of through the years, like the recent years, just sort of getting into all the indie promotions in America and Japan, and sort of I never was really exposed to that until I got in the business.
Yeah.
So sort of seeing guys similar to me, similar size, similar shape, like similar way we work is like it really helps me, especially if I'm trying to come up with something new and sort of watch what they do and then tweak it a little bit and then work another way. And it was it's really helpful with guys in the industry now that are similar to me that I can learn from watching.
Yeah, and I really enjoy the tag team with you and Backman because it's like you guys are so like your characters are very, very similar in the way that cockiness, that arrogance. But when you get in the ring, the cocky and arrogance is really confidence, because you know what I mean. Like you guys perform at such a high level with guys that are different types of body shapes than yours.
Yeah.
And you guys hang with pretty much anyone, and you have that dominance, and the tag team works well.
Yeah, that's what we're sort of happened by coincidence, really. Like he sort of started training at PWA a couple months before me, and I think we were just working spots and training, and we ended up in a tag drill, and we got put together, and the rest was history, really. Everyone popped for it, and here we are.
Well, dude, you can definitely see that chemistry there. And was tag team wrestling something that you're a fan of, that you saw yourself as wanting to explore, when you started in the business, and or did this just sort of happen organically and it was like, look, this works, let's roll with it?
Yeah, it's sort of like I remember I watched a bit of Jude London's interview with you, and he sort of said the same thing. It was sort of like I never really pictured myself as a tag team wrestler until it happened. And then it's like once it organically grew into what it is now, it was like that's like all I want to do is like work this thing and work it to be the best it can be.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the thing. Like with tag teams, tag teams can have like these great moments, and then like at the end of it, two can spark off and have an amazing feud as well after a long period of time. But it's there's always endless possibilities with tag team wrestling, and
it's so much fun. Like having three other people to bounce ideas off instead of another person, you can just sort of make the matches like something about it that makes it more. You make it more interesting. You can make it more. You get your characters over individually as well, not just as a tag team, and then you can focus on the tag team stuff as well. So it's really cool to play around with all those ideas and play around with roles in the match and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, absolutely. What tag teams do you guys, and I don't want to, not model yourselves after, but what have you sort of looked to for inspiration, for back pain?
So really any tag team, like particularly like individually, it's sort of just, we both worked out big man style, and we both worked out aggressive. We basically wanted to look like a car crash and keep our opponent safe at all times.
Yeah,
which is a line where like we're learning that training. That's our role in the company, and that's us. It's like we have to be the big guys, but when people wrestle us, they don't want to feel it. So learning all that sort of stuff, and then like obviously there's the tag team, like the Dudley boys and the Hardy boys and all that, Edge and Christian, like those perfectly chemistry teams that like they just flow together, and they're there. You don't need to worry about anything. Like, we sort of want to model ourselves after that and just be pretty much the perfect tag team. That's the aim at the end of the day.
Oh, absolutely. But that's the thing, in professional wrestling, nothing is limitless anyway. You guys could still do singles and still do tags, and it's just, you know what I mean? And that's where I think, wrestling today is it's so much more universal. And I think a lot of talent is more universal, where they can, I think I always put it, professional wrestling has become more professional in the modern day. And I think it's like, guys are like, on that level, aren't going out partying and getting on the gimmicks and and getting pissed every night. It's like sitting in a hotel room playing Xbox, and that's the day and age. But like, that's the quality of professional, how it's changed.
Yeah, it's it. It's one thing I noticed going to PWA was they don't just teach you one thing. Like, if you're a singles guy, they won't just teach you singles things. If you're a tag guy, they won't teach you tag things. They'll teach you everything. So they try and mold us all into these well-rounded performers where we can literally work whatever you need us to work. So it sort of comes seamlessly with the training that we do.
Yeah. But that makes for better talent though as well. Training you on everything. It's like, but it's like anything, I suppose. You may pick one type of thing up quicker than you will something else, but it's like everything will sort of work out. You sort of pick it up eventually.
Exactly. And sort of the way they structure training and stuff, it just rules into the fundamentals. Even if you're not really concentrating on the fundamentals, you're still using the fundamentals for everything you do. So constantly getting that in and getting those reps in, and getting reps in with the other boys, like boys that are on the shows, high-level shows, Ricky South, Matty Wahlberg, Velocities, like just learning from those boys and looking up to them and them teaching us. And they're like Mick Moretti, Robbie Eagles, Jack Bonzo, Madison Eagles, they're all there dropping knowledge on us, and we're just sponges and trying to learn as much as we can.
Yeah, sorry, I think I just got frozen at the moment, but yeah, it's one of those things, man. It's windy where I'm at here in Sydney, but yeah, look, I think that by learning those different styles as well, it makes the performer more bookable for other shows, for other things. It's like, well, I can you need this, I can do that. You know what I mean? So, and that makes for a better quality of show as well, because then you can say, okay, well, I've got this guy can do this, I can do this guy that does that, and
obviously you've been to PWA, you can see the level that it's at and how those boys have built that, and then it's just constantly growing, and that's the goal, is to just get it as big as we can get it.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing as well. Like, by having that team mentality, as I was talking about before, it's it's important that it's not a me, it's an us, it's a we, and that's as a fan of PWA, like I can see that from there, and obviously speaking to some of the other guys like Mick Moretti and Matty Wahlberg, it's like it's genuine, because you can see the passion in it from everyone who's part of PWA.
Yeah, man. Yeah, just like that's how I ended up getting into it. I actually worked in Brisbane against Mick in a match, and that's how I sort of ended up at PWA.
Oh, really?
I had a match with him, and it was like the next level match I've ever had. Like, I was gassed, and he was running me around, and he was wild, and it was sort of like, oh man, this is what it could be. So it was sort of like, then I sort of talked to him and said, oh, I'll come and train PWA, and he's like, yeah, man, for sure. And then sort of, I can only go up about once a week because how far away I live, but it's up there every week and have a ball with the boys and get into it.
But you know what? That's the thing. Like, I think even though if you get there once a week, as long as you're getting those reps in when you get there, and that's been a thing. But with everything that's happened this year, like 2020 has been like an absolute bitch of the year. How did you get through? The quarantine phase, the isolate, you know what I mean? Like, the lockdown stage, were you still able to go to work? Were you able to train at home?
No, well, I couldn't go to work. I worked in a gym, so that was off limits. So, I had my own gear at home. Luckily, I always had gear from out in the country where I was living. I live down the South Coast now, but from back home, I brought all the gear over and had my own little home gym set up and tried to keep in shape as much as I could. But it was a pretty tough time for everyone, and everyone went through a bit of shit. And obviously, like, no one doesn't go through shit when you're sitting there by yourself for 3 months. So.
Oh, absolutely, and the fact that there was no shows on as well, it was brutal for fans and I'm sure for the performers as well.
Yeah. Like we had it was pretty much do what you can at home and hope for the best. Really, it was sort of we didn't really know when training was going to start again, and when it did, we didn't know if we could no contact, no classes were limited. We couldn't really it was sort of hard, but we got through it, and hopefully it doesn't start again now with all this shit happening at the moment. But
dude, yeah, no contact training in pro wrestling would be pretty hard to do. A lot of psychology classes, I can imagine, and promo classes, but yeah, I mean, and look, I think the first show back, I was at wrist locks and pile drivers, and
yeah. I think
sorry,
I think that was my first show as well.
yeah, dude, that was crazy to see, and the energy levels were just like, man, dude, and it's those intimate crowds, those intimate shows. Like ideally, it'd be better to be like in front of hundreds of people, but to be in that situation where it's like, did you find performing in front of the intimate crowds with 50 people? How did you find that as opposed to working in front of the larger crowds that you've been used to?
Yeah, so it was more of a after the quarantine and after all that shit, it was sort of it didn't really matter who was there. We were just excited to have people back and just to be able to hear the crowd cheer and pop and boo and hate us and all that sort of stuff. And I've never really minded the intimate crowds. I've sort of come from, I've worked in front of 8 people. So I've worked in front of 8 people and I've wrestled in front of a couple hundred. So it's sort of, sometimes a couple hundred can be shit. So it depends on the crowd, man. PWA, they love it, and you can tell they love it. They're there for all the boys, and it's sort of, you don't have to, they make noise. You don't have to make them make noise. So it's sort of, if it was 20 people in there, I'm sure they would have made enough noise.
Oh, it was ridiculous, man. But I got to ask, man, the last show that I was at, man, it got really hot in there, and I can imagine some of the performers, man, after those matches, man, you could see the exhaustion on it. What was it like in that ring in that heat for you?
We were sort of lucky. We sort of had a short match, but I know when we get up there on training days and it's 40 degrees out and we're sitting in there for 2 hours, it gets a bit nasty by the end of it. But those boys that go for 20 minutes and that, they got big gas tanks, and I can't, the level they're at physically and fitness level is just incredible.
Oh, and that's the thing. You couldn't go in there and do that sort of stuff and not be fit, even in normal conditions, let alone when it's like, dude, I was there. I was dripping in sweat, and all I was doing is sitting in my chair drinking water. So but yeah, it was but that's the thing. Amazing matches from bell to bell.
Oh yeah, that's the goal. We want top to bottom, good stuff, and we're trying to everyone. If we all get to that level, that's what we want to be. We want competition. We want to be pushing each other to the limit, and from there, anything's possible. To be honest.
Oh, absolutely. And, by pushing each other to the limit, you're just going to get better and better, and those levels are going to go higher and higher and higher.
Yeah.
But, talking about, wrestling and getting back into shows, did you ever set yourself any goals when you got into the business, or were you just get into it, train, see how we go?
Yeah, it was sort of never obviously every kid has the dream to wrestle in the WWE at some point, but when I started, it was sort of just to see what happened. I didn't even really know there was a scene here when I started. I just sort of looked it up and was hoping there was something to do. I didn't even know there was a wrestling scene in Australia. Coming from where I'm from, there's no shows out there. And so goals moving forward was to get on PWA and wrestle on PWA shows. So now it's for Backman and myself, it's to get those PWA tag titles, and that's the goal for us moving forward.
Yeah. So you're just going step by step, focus on this goal, get there, next goal, get there.
Yeah.
Would you ever is WWE a goal for you, or going over to the States, obviously post all this, COVID-19 bullshit, but is that sort of where a focus that you'd eventually want to get to?
I think so. It's sort of hard to like obviously the little kid inside always says, you know, you want to wrestle for the WWE because that's where all your heroes wrestled, you know? So it's sort of like that's always going to be the, like deep down, that's always going to be the goal. But sort of like everything over there is taken off. Ring of Honor and AEW and New Japan and like all those places are sort of anywhere, like any goal. Like if I can get in front of like that sort of a crowd, like the sky's the limit. So it's sort of like that's the big dream. But obviously like WWE is a kid, the kid inside says WWE, but any one of those fed, like any big fed over there would be the dream come true.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, I think, you know, performers, you know, from the States and internationally have proven that, you know, they don't need to go to, you know, WWE to be a professional wrestler and not have to, you know, work a shoot job on the side to support their wrestling habit. Yeah, but, you know, like, but that's the thing. There's been these other options out there, and now that have been, you know, you've seen a lot, you know, amazing quality of wrestling. You know what I mean? Like the companies may not be at the WWE, you know, size and level, but still good wrestling's good wrestling, man. And that's, you know,
and just the wrestling here, like the level it's getting to now with guys like Mick Moretti and Madison Eagles and Robbie and Jack Bonzer and that, like it's getting to that point where those guys are just like, you look at them wrestle and you're like, man, like we get to learn under them. Like that, they're the people that teach us how to wrestle. It's like, man, it's like just listening to them and learning off them is wild.
And that's the, like when I saw you know, Mick Moretti, you know, some of his matches, and you know, he is on on another level. Like he's honestly like hands down probably the best wrestler in Australia today.
Freak, man, absolute freak.
We got Taff Taylor in the house. Thanks for tuning in, Taff.
Oh man.
But yeah, dude, like it's crazy that seeing what the level is here in Australia now. And you know, when I first started going into shows, like, you know, back in the early 2000s, you know what I mean? Like there was like, you know, some shows it looked like just, you know, middle-aged dudes like just going out there and just having a match. But it was like, you know what I mean? Like there was probably like there was a couple of decent companies with some decent guys out there. But how it's progressed over the like that time till now is just like night and day.
Yeah, so I've only sort of seen like a little bit of footage from Aussie back in the day, and like obviously hearing stories from some of the older boys. But like, yeah, it's just like even from when I've started to now, it's a whole nother level. Like in 4 years. So imagine like another 5 years where it'll be.
Oh, look, I think that, you know, and, you know, look, yeah, everyone who watches this show is going to hear this statement because I've said it before, but, you know, Australian wrestlers are now being more, there's more notice on it now than there's ever been before. And that's seen by who WWE signed, you know, who, you know, Ring of Honor's got signed, who Impact is, you know, like, and that's the thing, you're seeing that where it's like clearly there's eyes on the Australian product.
Yeah, man, for sure. And it's sort of like, yeah, you're just seeing obviously more talent over in NXT and more talent over in Ring of Honor. Like, it's just constantly growing and growing and growing. So I can't see why the sky's not the limit.
Oh, absolutely. But who would you actually would consider a dream match for you? Who is like someone that is just on your bucket list, whether it's an Australian talent or American talent? If the list is too many, I'll give you 3 to name if you want to do it that way.
Yeah, there's a few guys here. I'd really like to work Headhunter Rig. He's we never really worked against each other. We've worked together, but we've never really worked against each other. He'd be one on the bucket list. It's sort of more talent from here, to be honest. Like I don't watch a lot of stuff. So it'd be Rig, Robbie Eagles, obviously, would be one of them. I would say Mick, but I've already wrestled him, so I can tick that one off. Yeah, like Jack Bonzer, all those boys, like just any of those. Matt Rogers, Cole, yeah, for sure, 100%. But
that'd be a match I'd love to see, actually.
Big Matty.
Oh, yeah. Mate, like just 2 big heavyweights just beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah, man, love it.
But you know, you mentioned Robbie Eagles, who's more of a cruiserweight style, but phenomenal wrestler in the ring and just an amazing human being as well. You know, how, you know, do you find like wrestling against smaller guys than you or guys the same size? Is is it harder either way when you're wrestling someone at a different size than what you are, or like do you have to train to wrestle at someone at a different size?
I mean, it's a lot easier to do the power stuff with the little guys generally, and especially like someone like Robbie, you could do incredible things in a match. If I had a chance to wrestle Robbie, like it would be wild. But
yeah,
I really like the big boys. I really love the intensity. I love hitting hard. I love getting hit hard. I love that stuff. I love making the crowd hear us hitting each other. Like I love that.
But that's the thing. I think everybody loves just to see big dudes just like they just love seeing big dudes beat the fuck out of each other, whether it's like MMA or wrestling or boxing or Muay Thai. It's like there's something about seeing two barbaric motherfuckers just like trading hands or like kicking the shit out of each other. Kyle Lee just like threw out one that would be a pretty decent match. Jack Payne versus Ricky South. Yeah, we got the chat. Everyone's going nuts throwing out like potential matches. There's Jack Payne versus Sam Osborne, Jack Payne versus Dazz, Jack Payne versus Kyle Fletcher. Man, like, there's people throwing out these names, man, and I definitely
like making that list if you want to leave anyone out.
Yeah, dude, it's like pretty much throwing out the list. But you know, one of the things that I've actually started to enjoy is intergender wrestling, and how PWA does it is some of the best I've seen in wrestling. And yeah, what's your thoughts on intergender wrestling? Is it something that you've been a fan of, or is it something that you want to do? I've seen a little bit of the stuff that you guys have done, but is that something that you want to explore, or are you just mainly wanting to wrestle men?
I'm thinking I think it's really good. Like I think some of the girls are fucking badass bitches and can probably
amazing talent. Amazing.
Well, so I think like especially the PWA girls like Charlie and Jess Troy and Steph and that, like they could, like you can believe it, and I think that's the big thing. Like you can believe that they can fuck us up,
and that's the thing. When I walked away from that show, because and I said to Jess Troy, I was never a fan of intergender wrestling. It was just, I grew up of an era as like dudes don't hit girls, and that's that's a wrong thing. But when I was able to sit there at the show, I was like, holy shit! Like I didn't even sit there and think man versus woman, because it was just the wrestling was so good. I could just be lost in what I was watching. Obviously, you can but and amazing women as well. Like they're very believable. Like Steph DeLanda scares the shit out of me. Just
man, yeah. They're all lovely, and they all like all the girls at PWA, all the boys at PWA. Like it's just a big family. You walk in and everyone's high fiving and hugging and saying good day, and it's just sort of like you sort of walked into a house and seen everyone and having a good time.
Yeah, exactly. But instead of having beers and ciders, you're doing suplexes and pile drivers.
Yeah, that's it.
Hey, man, as long as you're having fun and you're enjoying it,
that's it.
But have you had a chance to do much travel interstate? Obviously, pre-COVID, and gone to check out. Oh, you said you wrestled in Brisbane, but have you been down to Melbourne to wrestle? I know Melbourne's got some really great talent down there. Same with Adelaide. Yeah,
I wrestled a show in Melbourne about last year at the PPW, Premier Pro Wrestling. It was pretty good. It was a big crowd, and I wrestled Big Ali, I think his name is, big fella. And that was great. Like I really loved that experience. And obviously MCW is another big goal in this state or in this country, where like it's up there with PWA, and obviously EPW over in Perth, and the boys over there are a big deal as well. And even in South Australia, Wrestle Rampage, those boys they're killing it as well.
Oh, absolutely. And it's, you're definitely seeing some great quality, coming out from all around the country. And that's the thing. Like, I think, when the whole, you're going to notice us movement, it was, really putting the eyes on Australian wrestling. And, for me, that's when I started getting back into Australian wrestling. I'm like, well, hang on, what's this? What's that? Like, and, started watching it, started, seeing promos and stuff like that. And, how, with independent wrestling, and I'm sure it's very similar to the Australian scene, where it's like to build a storyline at a show, unless you're at consecutive shows or watching on ovoplay.com. Yeah. So make sure, just a short plug there for the PWA guys. Make sure you go and subscribe to OvoPlay. Check out some amazing PWA action.
some shows.
You know, like, but unless you're following it, it's like to have that storyline. But you know, seeing how storylines now are more, you know, they're built on social media because it's the age of social media.
Yeah.
You know, like what goes into, you know, for storylines for yourselves? Like, are you guys going and pitching ideas to promoters, or is it just like, hey, we're just going to do our thing and like this is how it's going to be? Like, how does it work for you guys at this stage?
So at the moment, we're sort of staying PWA. That's what we want to do. We want to work our way up to the tag titles in PWA. So we sort of originally we pitched it to the promoter, and we pitched the idea of back pain and us being a team, and sort of everyone liked it, and we sort of had a little bit of a go there at that wrist locks and pile drivers. Where I replaced Silvio as a backman's tag partner, and from there it sort of evolved, and we're sort of just trying to push some ideas through, and we start filming some promos and all sorts of stuff.
And how do you feel about doing promos now? Because you mentioned, you know, obviously starting out, it was a bit nerve-wracking, and public speaking can be really fucking nerve-wracking for a lot of people. But how did that you overcome that? Was it more like, well, I want to be a fucking pro wrestler, so I better learn how to talk on the stick?
Pretty much. It was like sort of if I could put myself in the character, it was fine. I could just talk shit and say whatever I wanted to say, whatever I needed to say. Especially like I don't do well reading. Or like reciting, like I'll write stuff, used to write stuff down and try and read it word for word, and it was always coming out shit or always coming out like a robot was reading it. So I sort of learned to go on the fly, and like on the fly, it's just you get your point across and your character across. Like that's all you need to do, and sort of the way me and Backman bounce off each other stuff works really well. We sort of talk the same and talk the same shtick and say the same shit really, and we're trying to work that together and trying to work the dynamic and getting some good promos. Yeah,
man. Look, I think it definitely works well because it's like, as I said before, that cockiness and arrogance of the walking to the ring, and then that flip of it's you know, not like Festus type flip of the switch, but you know, that flip of the switch where you guys just, you know what I mean, like that cockiness and stuff like that you know what I mean, like that's in the back of their head, but you're beating the fuck, you know what I mean, like you're there to prove a point, like you look like you beat guys that owe you money.
That's sort of that's what we wanted to make it look like a car crash as much as we can. Make it look like we hate them.
Well, dude, like I sat there a couple of times, I was like, oh fuck. I was like I know it's a work, but shit. Like that didn't sound good. But you know,
all the boys take it. They we haven't hurt anyone, and they feel good after it, so I think we're doing the right thing.
Do they really feel good after it though? Like they go, fuck, I feel really great after just being slapped by this big dude. And his mate.
They love it. Like they're like especially the spine buster. That's a in-house pop, the old spine buster. All the boys love the spine buster, so I try and whip that one out as much as I can.
What's with the spine buster that they all love? Is just because you hit it crisp.
I think I just get it good. I think get them nice and high and drive it in and back to the feet, and they just love
it. But you know,
trying to get that over.
Yeah, man. You know, like, but you know, is it important how, like, you know, when they're training you, is like, you know, you need to work a certain style. You know, is it like trying to sort of say, okay, like you may want to do some crazy shit, but that doesn't match who you are. Is that sort of sometimes the case where it's like, obviously being new in the industry, it's like being new in anything. You've got to take time to really understand how it works.
Yeah, especially when, like, say, mixed training or Robbie's training, it's sort of like your opportunity to show them that you get it. So it's sort of like, obviously I'm the big man, blah, blah, blah. So it's sort of like, I've always worked that style anyway, so it was sort of like a lot easier. And then once we're in training, once we're in front of them and they see us working the way they see us working, it's sort of how it sort of naturally flows. And then from there, they can teach us more about that style. So I say I'm working big man, that Mick can sit me down and teach me more about how to work big man properly and how to take your steps bigger and how to take your time and be slower and all that sort of stuff.
Well, it's, you know, like, I'm sure it's like if you went out to him and said, hey, I want to like learn how to do a 450. it's like, buddy, no. Sorry?
Don't think that'll go too well.
You know, maybe you could do that as a rib. Say, you know, I'm thinking about adding a moonsault to my.
Yeah, but I want to learn a moonsault one day, but I think I'll end up like Brock Lesnar.
Ooh, that was nasty, bro. that was one of the most.
Oh,
That was some of the craziest shit, dude. Like I've seen footage like from old school like NWA where like Scott Steiner did like a 450, like
yeah.
some like it's crazy some of the crazy shit that big dudes back then just tried just to fucking pop the boys.
Even
Like,
Vader, the Invader doing the moonsault off the second and off the top. Fuck.
mate, that's some crazy shit. But you know, we're gonna go to the crowd, the audience, I should say. We got Roman up in Queensland saying g'day. Kyle, he's still there. Joel's checking out the show, but you know, what's coming up for you guys next in the new year, man? Like, you know, when's the next shows coming up for you guys? I know you guys wrestle for FWA and IWA and a couple other promotions, but where can people sort of see you next, man?
It'll be PWA mainly. That's sort of what I want to focus on. I'm sort of trying to just stick to mainly PWA, and I love wrestling IWA too. Like, they've been really good to me, and I've worked a lot of really good talent over there. So I really like those two feds are sort of the goal for the moment. And then obviously once interstate travel and stuff sort of happens, hopefully get down to Melbourne and over to Perth and Adelaide and that sort of stuff.
IWA is a really fun promotion. Like they do great work. I was actually at the last IWA show at St. John's Park, man.
Yeah,
that was a pretty hot crowd, man. Like I was like, God damn, like people are fucking, these motherfuckers are getting juiced and fucking loving it.
Oh yeah.
But like IWA is always a fun time, man.
Yeah, we've done some tour. I did a tour with IWA the start of this year. I did the January tour with them, and it was ball.
Yeah. How have you? Can you tell us any funny travel stories from that one? Obviously, you can change the names to incriminate the guilty if you like. We're not about getting heat, boys.
We worked Foster. I think it was Foster, and it was Dazz. Dazz was working. I think it was Tyson. What's his? I can't remember his last. Tyson
Reed.
Tyson Reed. Yeah, that's it. And they worked, and they did a big heel phase split off. So I was in the heel. It was me, Jackson Kelly, and Rig, I think it was, and we all ran out and tried to kick the shit out of Dazz, and all the other boys came out and got on us and Randall and all that. And a few blokes in the crowd decided to jump the barricade and have a go. And
you know what? Dazz had told me the same fucking story.
Did he?
yeah. I had Dazz on, and he's like, we just stood around going, what the fuck?
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? And then I was in the ring, and I remember seeing one of them. He was coming to dive in, and I saw out of the corner of my eye, like I said, it was Rig with this kendo stick. He had this kendo stick on him, and he had this look on his face. I was like, oh shit, this bloke's gonna get pumped. And he dived in, and I had a swing at him because I was like, I don't know, sort of stand up for the business, and you want to come in here, I'll play with the big boys. And I gave this big soccer kick, and someone pulled him out just in time. And, they got into him and got rid of him. So
that's the thing, man. And you know, pretty much as I said to Dazza, pro wrestling is, you know, going on pro wrestling shows like going to see a stripper, bro. You can watch, you can cheer, you can say whatever you want. You just don't fucking touch.
That's it, man. If you want to step in, we can show you how real it is, I suppose.
Dude, but that's the thing, man. Like, that's the old unwritten law in pro wrestling, man. Like, you know, fans want to try and jump in and put hands on the workers. You get the fucking shit beaten out of you. But these guys sounded like they had a lucky night, because Dazza was telling me, he was like, yeah, man, we were just like, fucking all right, settle down, like, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
You know? Like, we're trying to be nice to them and shit. I'm like, really? Like, no one like fucking like.
I never connected, but I had a good kick, but I missed him completely.
But dude, like that'd be like a scary thing, because it's like, you know, like, well, I suppose, like, you know, there's 9 wrestlers standing.
I mean, they picked the wrong time to do it, but
dude, yeah, exactly. Like that's the thing, man. Like, fuck you. There's like big motherfuckers standing there that just beat the shit out of everyone. And I'm like,
yeah, there's some fucking big boys there too. Like me and Regan, fucking. Like, there's some big boys there waiting to kick the shit out of you if you jump the rail. So it's like, fuck, I wouldn't have done it.
That's why I just stand back with a schooner and go, cheers, boys, good show. Mad. I'm happy to be your mate. Just don't hurt me. You know, but that's some craziness, man. But you know, so when is the next show for you, man? And who you facing?
I'm not 100% yet when the next show is. We're sort of still building and working some stuff, working some angles and trying to get some promos filmed by Ben Anderson, the bloke he does a lot of stuff for PWA. He does a lot of the really good promos, a lot of all the film work at the shows. He does a lot of that stuff. So we're trying to get some real good promos filmed up so the crowd can sort of get to know us a little bit better and how to get some merch out and that sort of stuff. And from there, we haven't really figured it out yet. We'll sort of get into it in the new year when I think it's in February. I think the first show is, but I'm not 100%. But obviously working. Don't know who we're going to work. Like, don't know who we're working, that sort of stuff. But we'll sort it out in the new year, and yeah, it'll be at PWA. That's for sure.
Absolutely, man. And mate, as we start to wrap it up, Jack, can you tell everyone where they can find you on Twitter, Instagram, wrestler merch, wherever they can get your merch?
Yeah, but my Instagram is at Jack Payne Pro, same as my Twitter. Merch we are sort of setting up at the moment with wrestler merch, so we're sort of getting that sorted. So it'll be on there eventually. Obviously, be Back Payne, Jack Payne, Backman, all of us. It'll be one of us. It'll be in there somewhere. But yeah, that's pretty much where you can find me on social media.
No worries. And once you get your wrestler merch store set up, we'll help promote it. We'll retweet it. So everyone who watches the show, you'll be able to find it on our social media as well. Make sure you go follow Jack. He's an amazing wrestler. He's got a very, very, very bright future in this business. He is absolutely amazing. Check out it. His social media. Also go check out Ovo Play. Check out some PWA shows. Check out some good Aussie fucking wrestling because it's pretty amazing. But Jack, thank you so much for being a guest on Shooting the Shit Uncensored. It's been an amazing time. And as always, I say to everyone who comes on this show, you have an open invitation to come back anytime, my friend. Also,
appreciate it.
Anytime, man. And also, thank you everyone for tuning in and watching live. We had some really big numbers tonight, and I really appreciate it. But if you are watching this on YouTube, do me a favor, click that subscribe button somewhere up there or down there. Hit that like button, hit that share button. I'd really appreciate it. And hey, man, till next time, we'll see you next time, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. And Jack, stay safe, man, and have a happy Christmas, man.
You too, man. Thanks, heaps.